to get situated. I am going to talk today about the complexities of a late spring beekeeping experience. I'm going to try to hold this as even as I can. There you see our boxes. Hey there, for anyone watching and joining me. I love our bees as much as ever. Love them, love them, love them. In February, later February, we had an early spring that has persisted. Today's a really chilly day, which is nice. I'll tell you why in a minute. But we had a early spring by a few weeks, I believe, at least 3 weeks, that resulted in our bees, our queen bees, laying eggs like crazy. The weather was warmer. The bees were bringing in some pollen and some nectar, not a ton, but some. And we got to about maybe 2.5 weeks ago, and we started noticing more bees out and about. And sure enough, about 2 weeks ago, almost exactly, we opened up the white box that you see there. Actually, we opened up the blue box, and it was in the late morning when the foraging bees are all out. So the foraging bees are out. They're out by the thousands, right? And bees poured out of that blue box that you see and the white box below it. Poured out. And my husband and I, we were taken by surprise because our bees, they're average bees. We have seen people manage bees with, wearing no protective clothing, and they're handling the bees. The bees are crawling all over them. Our bees are not like that. We've also seen extremely aggressive bees that they just go on the attack almost immediately. And it wasn't that. It was in between, but veering toward very agitated. So because of the early springtime weather, the queen was just laying eggs like crazy, and those eggs were hatching and they were becoming bees. And we were like, okay, well, we need to figure out some things to do. So the first thing that we did on both of those hives that you see behind me is we added that top box. So each top box contains 10 frames, which is theoretically enough for one frame holds 7,000 little 7,000 little spaces where the bees can lay eggs and where they can grow honey and develop honey and so on. So we're adding a lot of space, 10 extra frames out there. We also added what is called an interior feeder, because at this time there is nectar out there to be had, there is pollen, but not enough for a colony, especially when it gets to be this size. So they were moving up into those third boxes as of yesterday. They were building comb. One professional beekeeper said all of us in the southeast United States, really, we're just trying to keep the wheels on until the big nectar flow begins, which is still in my area. I think it still might be 2 or 3 weeks away. And that is when the Chinese tallow trees, they blossom and the bees go absolutely nuts. And that is when they can fill up a box similar to this with honey in just a matter of a few days. It's incredible how productive they become during the flow, as it's called. So we've been watching this and making decisions what to do. Because not only do we want, we're actually planning on starting the path, it's a long path, but becoming Texas master beekeepers. We love our bees. So, and my husband loves it too. So we decided we are going to be moving these hives to some rural property where our bees will have a meadow and they'll have all kinds of things, for them just to explore. And at the same time, we're also going to be splitting the hives. So when you look at the boxes behind me, in particular the bottom white box and the pink box, that is probably where we will find our queen. Not for sure. She could be in any of those boxes. But we're going to find the queen in each one of those. And one thing we're going to do is a process called requeen. So we're actually going to take the queens that are in those boxes and we're going to kill them. I know, the first time I heard that I was horrified. But we want to nudge our bees into becoming much calmer bees, where we once had a swarm, a colony that was extremely peaceful. They were amazing, actually. And that's what we want to do. So we're going to be requeening, and then we're also going to be doing a split. And a split is just going to double the size of our little apiary, and that will give us 4 colonies. Out in the country where these are going to be parked, just about 30 minutes away from us, not very far at all, we may in fact actually bring 1 or more of them back here. But we are going to then set up swarm traps. So at any given time, people just are completely unaware, but there could be thousands of wild bees or feral bees. A lot of times they're just escaped bees from somebody's, beehive, but you can actually capture them, and we have captured 2 swarms in the past. So we're going to be setting up swarm traps, probably 1 here in our yard and a couple out on the property, and see if we can continue to grow that way. It's all education. It's an incredible amount of education, but my husband loves it and I love it. This jacket that I'm wearing isn't my favorite one. As you can see, it's real bulky up here, but because today is really chilly, it's in the low 50s, the bees are inside, where any smart bee or person would be when it gets cold. But we don't have very many cold days like this. So our plan is tonight, and you can't see it from where I'm sitting. I can't zoom in. I can a little bit. We actually have ratchet straps around those the 3 boxes. And so we have a special kind of a carrier. We're going to lift those and put them in the back of our truck and then drive them out to the property, get them situated, and it's going to be just another stage of our adventure. So we won't have these 2 behind us. We won't have them here for a while. We may, kind of depending on how the genetics work out and what we observe, we may very well bring 1 or more boxes back. But it has been an amazing experience. But it was the early springtime temperatures that lasted and continued actually up until today. And this cold weather is actually a nice boost for us, because tonight, when we get ready to move the hives, because of the cold temperatures, the bees will for sure be in their boxes just doing busy bee things. Let me tell you one more thing. The life of a bee is incredible, just absolutely incredible. Depending on the age, and we're talking about just days at a time, depending on the age determines what kind of job they do. So on about day 20 or 21 of a bee's life, they only live about 40 to 45 days. On about day 20 or 21, they're promoted to become guards or foragers. And remember, these are all female. They're all girls. They're all female bees. But they have never been outside of their beehive before. They've never been outside of it. They've been nurse bees. They've been tending. They've been doing all kinds of jobs within the hive, but they've never been outside of it. So preparing for their job as a forager or as a guard, I think there's maybe 1 other job it could be outside of the hive. They come outside the hive for the first time, and they do what's called an orientation dance. They will face the hive, and they will fly around in a little pattern. And what they're doing is they are studying, not the beehive boxes so much, but they are studying all the area around it. The trees, the fence line, the ground, the grass, and that is what is going to guide them when they're done foraging or when they're done guarding. That is what will guide them back home. The more I learn about bees, the more incredible they are. I just love them so much. So that's what's happening here in our little tiny apiary. We are going to be starting to sell honey this season, because we anticipate with 4 honey producing hives, we'll get quite a bit of honey. We have not even come close to using half the honey from last time. So we're going to get labels, and we're going to sell our honey. And so we just can't wait. It won't be a moneymaker. We probably won't even break even, to say the least. But anyway, that's what's happening on the Bedford Apiary. And hope you enjoyed this little look into what's going on here today. Bye.